everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast. I have a very special guest today. His name is Tom Poland. We're talking from across the world, and he's in Australia, and he has joined me. It's late evening for him, early morning for me, but we managed to make this work. He is multiple best-selling author of the Leadsology series and the creator of marketing programs by the same name. His speciality is the generation of a predictable weekly flow of high-quality inbound new client inquiries. I know his stuff works because he's done this with many of my friends. He's spoken on global speaking platforms alongside the likes of Tracy, Marshall Goldsmith, Dr. Ivan Meisner, Michael Port, and many other marketing greats. I'm really thrilled to have you on the show today, Tom. Welcome.
Delighted to be here, and I apologize profusely on behalf of all Australians for getting you up so early. We have a very time zone.
No, it's okay. It's good for me to start nice and early. This is the earliest podcast I've ever done, but this is going to be great fun, I know. Because I know you're really big in mindset, and you really believe in it. And I'm really looking forward to delving into what you believe has helped you to grow your business in terms of your inner game and the gems that you can share with our audience. So let's start a little bit further back from today. What got you into this business, and how have you built it to be the hugely successful enterprise you have now?
The seeds of my current business were sown with disappointment and frustration. I know we're talking about mindset, and that sounds like a horribly negative place to start, but very often it is frustration or disappointment or some emotion that we might perceive or label as being negative, which actually is the genesis of something really quite terrific. So I've been doing this for, I say people 39 years, but I've been saying it's 39 years for the last 7 years because I don't want to sound too old. But when I started my first business, which was 40 thick end of 40 years ago, I understood one thing very quickly, and that was that if I didn't sell something, I'd starve. I couldn't pay the mortgage and support kids and all sorts of different things. So I really set out to figure out this marketing thing. How do you generate leads? How do you generate inquiries? And how do you sell people once you've made the inquiry? And I literally went around the world and paid lots of money to lots of people and came back and down under and then implemented everything feverishly and religiously and found, to my utter disappointment and dismay, that it didn't make any frickin' difference. And so this went on for years and years and years until one day, I don't mean literally one day, but, metaphorically speaking, one day I sat down and thought, damn it, I'm going to have to figure this thing out myself. And that was the genesis of Leadsology, the science of being demand, which I then wrote a book about and then followed up with Marketing Invisible, and the last one, Inbound Marketing Book, it's called. So it was born out of a need, of course, necessity's mother of invention, but it was also born out of this frustration. And what I discovered is that BS marketers are ubiquitous. If there's any industry that attracts liars more than any other, it's probably sales and marketing. But it's not just that there's a lot of BS artists out there marketing stuff that they know that doesn't work. There's also some very well-meaning people who market programs and concepts and ideas that they hope will work, but they don't. So I have this very, very long list of marketing methods that should be avoided. But that's the long answer to your very short question is, years and years of frustration, disappointment, investing other people's marketing advice and finding it didn't frickin' well work.
So what kept you going? Because there was the alternative of going to get a job. So what kept you going in those difficult times for you to have that tenacity to keep searching until you found something that worked? Because it's so easy, isn't it, to just think, okay, this isn't going to work, I'm going to go and do something else now.
Right. Well, one of my earlier mentors said to me one day, I said something about him being really smart. He said, Tom, what you need to understand is that in order to be successful, you don't have to be smart. I said, what do you mean? I said, I would have thought it was a prerequisite. He said, no, you only have to be smart enough to know how dumb you are. and what he was essentially saying, he went on to explain, is if you understand how ignorant you are at a thing and you want to achieve that thing, then you ask for help. And you'll find someone who's either achieved that thing or is a very good teacher of achieving that thing. the best football coaches or rugby coaches or whatever coaches in the world aren't necessarily the best in the world at playing the sport, but they're very good at coaching and training. So that was I thought it was always a lifeline to me. And the other thing that the other I think advantage that I started this particular journey with was that I was ignorant of any marketing methods at work, and I was also quite broke. So that ignorance, but the awareness of my ignorance, you only have to be smart enough to know how dumb you are. Plus, not having run out of money to keep investing in marketing experts meant that I had to learn from people that I could learn from without paying a hell of a lot of money. I had to implement without any significant cost or complication because my brain couldn't handle the complication. So what kept me going, I think, was just a fire in the belly. I don't know if I could have artificially manipulated that, or if I could have done more positive affirmations. I did a lot of affirmation, a lot of visualizations. But I don't know if that was the trick. I really don't know. I'd like to say it was because that's an easy formula to give to someone. Affirmations, visualizations, which I wrote about in my first book, Your Extraordinary Life, which was all personal development, mindset, and so on. I think one big advantage I had, Nina, was that I figured out very early on, courtesy of another teacher, how to clear unwanted emotions. And I go into that in chapter 49 of, as I said, my first book, Your Extraordinary Life. Happy to provide a free copy PDF of that, but if you want the paperback or Kindle, you have to go to Amazon. But I learned very, very early that if I was going to make significant progress and enjoy that journey, that I had to learn to clear in a healthy way unwanted emotions. And it was a 4-step model. First of all, there was the awareness that I was feeling frustrated, disappointed, despondent, or garden variety depression or anxiety, or whatever it was. Secondly, to accept that I was feeling that. And thirdly, to actually not just accept it, but still step 2, to accept that. And so I developed an affirmations around that, and the welcoming, the acceptance of the emotion rather than resistance or getting annoyed by whatever it was, as I said, anxiety, or perhaps something had gone wrong and my mind kept going back to it like this hamster on a wheel, sort of running over the same ground over and over and over again. What could I have done differently? And why didn't I say this? And so rather than feed the emotion or even try to resist the emotion, to accept it and then to replace that with an affirmation. That was an absolute godsend. Learning how to accept the emotions that I didn't want to feel was actually the key to being released from them. And then to clearing the mind. And once the mind is clear of all that rubbish and all that garbage, it's so much easier to move forward with a positive intent and an action that's actually well thought out.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. That's really, really powerful. So because we can spend so much time focusing on something and beating ourselves up and all the rest of it, and we put all our energy into that rather than putting the energy into the present moment and how we can solve the current problem. So the mindset piece has been there for you for a long time, hasn't it?
I remember being 16 years of age, which is 3 or 4 years ago now. And I remember.
Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed.
I had left home. I was still putting myself through high school. I'd left home, and it was a very clear May night, which of course we're all upside down here. So here, that was autumn, and I was lying on the back lawn of the flat that I was sharing with some other students, staring at the Milky Way, and I started to cry because I could see patterns of all sorts of dysfunctional patterns, including addictive patterns, coming to this fruition in my life at that early age. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be like my grandfather. I'm not going to have the same problems my father had, and so on. Wonderful man in lots of ways, but some issues, should we say. And I remember talking to a flatmate about it. Greg was his name. And he said to me, why don't you study? I said, what do you mean study? I'm studying. He said, no, study success. I said, what do you mean study success? Is there a book on it? There's lots of books on it. But find people that are successful and ask them if they'll help you and so on. And so that began my journey in personal development. That began the awakening and the awareness that my thoughts are creating my reality. And that's therefore, if I can align my thoughts to the reality I want, I'm far more likely to get there than if I just hope and pray and wish and sort of stumble along. So I think that it was a very, very early awareness that destiny was something that I could shape, and I needed to find out how to do that, of course. But that was the start of the journey. So, yeah, that's, we're talking 47 years ago now.
Yeah, and this is the essence of everything for me, that we can align our thoughts to shape our reality. We don't have to just be stuck with what we currently have. And this is such a powerful thing. So how does this help a business owner, this type of thinking, to know you can shape your reality thought by thought, that you're creating that rather than at the default end of it?
Well, I think the most powerful way it helps is that if I've got an experience, the understanding that I'm responsible for having created that experience. And if I've got a staff member that's let me down, who hired that person? Or if I'd bought the business and the staff member, well, who bought the business? And I know there's a matrix of responsibilities here. Other people have a part to play in this. I'm not the only person in this world, not dreaming everything. But nevertheless, whether we believe it's true or not, if I can accept responsibility for every experience and every outcome in my life, then I have the power to change it. If I just play victim and go, well, no, it's the staff member's fault, or it's the client's fault, or why didn't that idiot buy because, boy, it's really good. If I do that and just blame game, and I'm the victim and I'm the poor unfortunate one, I'm completely powerless. So I have no interest in arguing with anyone as to whether it's true I created anything or not. I know if I accept responsibility of having created everything, then suddenly the power is unleashed to change that thing. And I always remember The Secret coming out, this law of attraction.
Yes.
And the whole, there's some real positives in that, but there's also a lot of BS in it. Like, no, if I meditate for half an hour every day and imagine $2 million in my letterbox, it will not happen, okay? This whole thing is buy our program and get the life you deserve, get the partner you deserve, get the money you deserve. And I remember thinking, I've got all that. Everyone's got that. If my partner's crap, that's what I deserve, because I know I deserve it because I've got it. So I must deserve it because it's in my life right now. If I'm broke, it's me who did that, no one else. There's no magic kingdom that's going to sprinkle gold coins all over me. It's up to me. But what they did have, right, of course, was the power of thoughts. Thoughts as a precursor, as a motivator, response to certain actions. So we work back from the future, figure out what we want life to look like, and then we figure out the inputs. That's the outcome. We figure the inputs, the things we have to do in order to make that reality, and then we figure out the thoughts that are going to align us with that behavior that will give us the outcome. So it's outcome, input, but always thoughts. Thoughts are the source of everything.
They're everything. They are our perception. We cannot experience life without our thoughts. It is the only thing, and it's the most important thing. And yet it's the most overlooked thing, because people,
isn't it just?
Business owners are busy, doing and implementing strategies, or not implementing them, procrastinating, right, whatever it is. But so many people rush past their thinking and don't pay any attention.
I think a lot of it comes back to motivation, though, because and context. So by motivation, I mean, why am I wanting this thing? Is it just for me? Is it something I'm emotionally attached to? Because I'll probably stuff it up if it is. If I desperately want to be financial independent, then I'll be very tempted to twist my personality out of shape to try and achieve that, which is denying my destiny, because it's denying the gifts that I have to give to people. Am I tempted to get my ethics bent out of shape because I want that thing so bad? So if we look at motivation, but motivation is often molded within context. Context for me is life purpose. So my life purpose model, you've got vision, you've got values, you've got goals, you've got actions. But over and above all of that is consciousness, contribution, and capacity. They are the three parts of my life purpose model. We very often dive into the goals without giving a context. So there's not the life purpose model. It's just a life purpose model that I write about in that first book. But if we look at the expansion of human consciousness as thought stream, if you like, to being the key to changing the world and making it a better place, and you look at your capacity to achieve that, that's the second part of the purpose. And then you look at your capabilities, the skill levels that we have to master in order to achieve that. Then suddenly we have a far more altruistic context and motivation, and it gives a lot of relevance to everything else. So If it's all about me, I remember someone reading that, a Buddhist master was to sum up Buddhism, asked to sum up Buddhism. He said, oh, that's very easy. No self, no suffering.
It's the
It's hard to
ego,
get
isn't
past
it?
that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the ego. The ego keeps stepping up all the time, and because the ego is just, we're so used to listening to it that we forget to listen to the other, the wise, the wisdom. That's also there. There's two voices, and we tend to listen to the loud voice.
The self voice, which is self-defeating in the end. But the ego itself is just ego. We put this meaning on it that it's necessarily a bad thing or a selfish thing. Not necessarily. If I had no ego, I probably wouldn't shower tonight. I probably wouldn't feed myself, nutritious food. So we need some sort of self-drive. So again, we could get away from the bad label, the good label, and we just talk about functional things or dysfunctional. Functional relative to what? Dysfunctional relative to your purpose. What's your purpose? Because if you're clear on your life purpose, it would be a good idea to work that out at some point before you die. What am I doing here, right? If you get clear on your purpose, then everything becomes functional or dysfunctional, not good or bad. Is this functional? Is it working for me? Is it working for my purpose, or is it not working?
Yeah, this is fantastic. I knew this was going to be a great chat, and it really is, because I love the fact that you're going so deep into this. Tell me
we need to go deep. We need to get past all the superficial bullshit. I've got the latest BMW or something.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the stuff that matters.
Yeah, you get happiness in slices of time. You get fulfillment. It's a whole different dimension. So, as someone who's taught a lot about personal development, run a lot of workshops, written book, blah, 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 blah. And people say, but you want your kids to be happy, right? That's what we all want as parents. I said, I prefer they were fulfilled. So fulfillment, you don't get fulfillment unless you give, unless you help. And other than narcissists, we all want to help other people. It's one of almost a defining human quality that the volunteers, the communities, business functions well when we help people. So fulfillment to me is far more important. It's a higher value than happiness, because happiness, you get it in slices. You see it at the airport, the international arrivals, people are happy. Their loved ones come home after a month or two. Give them a couple of weeks. They'll be fighting over the coffee stains that someone left, or the toilet lid was left up, or whatever else. So happiness comes in slices of time, but fulfillment can be a much more enduring and satisfying state of being.
Yeah, and it's a lovely tie-in with the work that we do as well, isn't it? How we're helping people and serving people.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the past? Because again, many entrepreneurs, we look at something and we think, oh, I'd like to take action. Maybe I'll launch my program. Oh, but look what happened last time. No one bought it, and it's probably not going to work again. If it doesn't work again, I'll feel like a failure. So how do you stop bringing up stuff from the past which can color the moment you're in now in your future?
Well, first, the way I deal with that is and it's into what I meant before, the four forces: the awareness, the acceptance, the affirmation, and the action. Though I didn't go through them all before, but if I'm feeling like I need to avoid disappointment, so I'm at the process, almost about to launch a new book or a new business or a new product or something, and the self-doubt starts. The self-talk types. What if it doesn't work? What if you put all this effort in, all this time in, all this money? What will people think? And what will you think? And your wife's going to laugh, and your kids are going to abandon you, and you'll be dead in the gutter, dying, and alcoholic, and so on and so on and so on. That can happen before morning tea, right? So it's the four forces method again. It's a matter of clearing that dysfunctional emotion and those dysfunctional thoughts first of all by being aware of it. Hello, my old friend, self-doubt. And then awareness, accepting it, welcome back. And then I would sit and I would breathe. And I would go, I'm about to launch, I'm having doubt. And that's okay. I'm about to launch, I'm having doubt. And that's okay. Or I launched last time and it crashed. And that's okay. So this neutralizes the emotion and it clears the thoughts 21 times. Virtually no one has to get to 21 times. Normally by about the 6th, 7th breath of repeating that affirmation, this is the situation and it's okay, or this is what I'm feeling and it's okay, it disappears into the nothingness it always was. And what you're left with is a clear mind, that can see reality as it is and not as you fear it might be.
Yeah, that's great. Because not anything from the past, the only way we can let it impact the moment and the future is through our thinking. Because it's gone, it's finished, and it has no impact in the here and now.
Yes. So the thinking or the memory is what triggers the emotion, the fear or the disappointment or whatever, the frustration or the self-doubts, whatever else. So by going back to the thinking and neutralizing that thought by the phrase, and it's okay, taking a deep breath, we release the chemicals in the brain, because that's all the emotions are. It's just a chemical that your brain secreted that was stimulated by a certain thought. And the thought is associated with fear or desire, pain or pleasure. Freud, 101. But the emotion is just a thing that I've created from a thought, whether it's a memory or whatever it happens to be. So if I clear the emotion, then the thought dissipates and I can replace it with something that's more functional.
Yeah, fantastic. Can we just step into your thinking for a moment and have a little look around in your thinking? Because the reason I ask this, because again, this is bringing up something that we mentioned a little bit earlier, implementing, because we're not going to get more clients without implementing. And some of the people, our listeners and viewers, may find resistance comes up when they're thinking about taking an action, whatever it is. It may be a small action, a big action, but something that's going to help them bring in clients. They may be writing a blog post, making a video, maybe writing an email, offering their program to their list, whatever it is, reaching out to a JV partner, whatever it is, and there is resistance, this fear comes up. So what thinking do you have around when you want to implement something and you feel some resistance, some fear coming up, some self-doubt? How do you use your thinking to get past that?
So again, first of all, I have to become aware of that.
Awareness is always the first step, isn't it?
Awareness, yes. Awareness, that's where the power is, in the awareness, because then you have choice. There's no awareness, there's no choice. I'm stuck on this emotion, I'm stuck on this fear, I'm stuck on this inertia and so on. So, but the interesting thing is the more we acknowledge how we're feeling, the more our awareness, more acute our awareness becomes. So it might take, when I started doing this stuff, it could be 2.5 days because I became aware that I had anxiety. And then it took what time before I would acknowledge to myself that I was feeling fearful, let alone my wife, or kids or anyone like that. But as we practice acknowledging whatever it is we're feeling or thinking, then our capacity to become aware is heightened and we become aware so much faster. So as soon as I'm aware, it's the acceptance. Oh, hello, my old friend doubt, or hello, my old friend fear, hello, my old friend anxiety, whatever. It doesn't really matter what the label is, but I put a label on. And then it's the affirmation around accepting of that thing and then clearing the emotion and moving forward. I have a distinct advantage in that I am a prodigious implementer. And if I am feeling some self-doubt or emotion, then I will clear that and re-examine the strategy to see if I really do believe this is something that's likely to be effective. And then having cleared it, then I move forward and implement. 90% of the things that I launch fail. At best, I break even with them. 90%. 90% is a lot. And I was sharing something with a colleague the other day. Where's the sales whisperer? Lovely guy. And he said, God, Tom, you're a freaking genius. This is just incredible. And I said, you take that back. It took me 11 years of plodding stupidity and failure to finally crack this. And I will not have you take that effort away from me by calling me a genius. So you've just got to get friends with failure. You've got to understand it's not the end. It's just a step where you didn't quite complete. And, people say, where did you study marketing? Which university? I remember being in a chat room, people going, I was at Harvard or I got my MBA from Cranfield or wherever else. And I said, the University of Observation. Simply having a look and seeing what works and what doesn't work and doing something else that didn't work and then trying something. And hey, 1 in 10, I'm happy with that. I'll take 1 in 10.
Yeah. And thank you for your honesty to get that number 90%, because I was always thinking 80% of stuff that we don't do that we do doesn't work and 20% does, but 90% is probably much closer to the mark. Thank you for that admission, because that is, for someone, and I'm not bigging you up, but you are very, very successful. I've known you for a number of years. You have a method that works. Many people have used it and they've got results. So you have cracked it in that way through sheer resilience, determination, and, willingness to know that there is an answer out there. And to know that you have failed that many times is fantastic. It is just so inspiring, because a lot of people will not admit that. They will say, oh, well, I started with no money and then I had to make my way in life and all the rest of it. But now, things I'm doing, bringing in, multi-7-figure launches and all the rest of it. So it's really refreshing to hear that that is that level of times that it doesn't work. And that will, that lets us all have permission to go out there and fail again and again and again, because through that you learn. This is our greatest opportunity for growth. And I know this is said and it's a bit of a cliche now, but it truly is. Every time something doesn't work, we have a choice. We can make a decision. Actually, I'm not going to do anything again because I'm scared it's not going to work again. Or what can I learn from this? How can I improve on this? How can I make it better?
One of my goals, I said once, was racing superbikes in the Australian Superbike Championships, which is a really scary thing to do. And I wasn't very fast. And one day a guy took me aside who was much faster. He said, look, as soon as you develop a relationship with crashing that it's okay, the sooner you're going to go faster. And it's like that in life. You've got to, life is lived outside the comfort zone. That's where fulfillment is. It's not in the comfort zone. It's not in the safe. It's not in the secure. It's about failing. And we just don't grow as an individual. We don't improve our capacity for anything with certainty. Nothing is improved by certainty. The only way we get to grow and we get to explore and profit and help is through uncertainty. And I would far rather have the uncertainty of freedom than the certainty of prison.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's the certainty that we have inside of us that even if it fails, we're okay. It's fine.
I'm happy with that sort of certainty.
So that's that certainty within us, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But let's do away with this myth of the hero's journey and Superman and Superwoman. And let's understand that if we're in the skin still, then it's because we're not perfect and because we, that we are going to make mistakes, and that's part of the journey. That's reality, right?
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's saying, okay, Tom, I understand, we have to make mistakes in order to learn and all the rest of it. But when I make a mistake and I don't get any income this month and I have to pay my bills, etc., that makes that certainty seem real. Instead of just something that, okay, another failure, no problem, I'll get up and, try again.
What would I say to that person? Is there a question in this?
Yeah. So what would you say to the person? Well, if it doesn't work this month, I'm not going to be able to cover my bills. So that's really, really tough for me to be able to accept that as a failure and move on from that.
Right. Well, I don't know what I'd say to that. I mean, I've been there and done that. I've been insolvent with the bankruptcy papers on my desk, ready to file them, and thought, no, bugger it, I'll find a way out. So it's bloody tough, when you've got a payroll of $60,000 to pay on the Thursday morning, or Wednesday at 7 p.m. There's no money in the account. These are not fun times. But if you back out, if you give yourself an out, it's very easy to take it. So I would say measure twice, cut once. And what I mean by that is an old builder's adage, you measure the thing you're going to cut twice, and then you're going to have to cut it once rather than measuring it once. So be very, very careful about the goals you set. Make sure you really do want them. Make sure they're your goals, not your parents' goals, not your husband or wife's goals, not the marketing guru's goals. Make sure they're your goals, that they're aligned with your core values. Then be even more careful about the strategy. Find your winning strategy. Find someone who's achieved what you want to achieve. Beg, borrow, whatever you have to do, but implement their strategy. Not just some marketing person who's got the slick packaging, there's nothing inside, but find somebody who's really genuine done it. And then stick to the freaking strategy until you make it work, regardless of whether you can pay the bills next month or not. Because I do see a lot of people getting clear about the goals, getting the right strategy, but failing to persist through the inevitable challenges of implementation and just going off and chasing another shiny thing.
Yeah, sticking at it and doing one thing, doing it really well, rather than trying to do lots of different things.
Really.
That is really the key that I've discovered over the years. Being in business, do one thing and do it really well through the highs and the lows.
Yeah, because if you've got your strategy figured out, whether that's internet marketing strategy, webinars, or whether it's whatever that happens to be, and it's clear that someone's made that work, then you can make it work as well. It's just a matter of persistence and figuring out what's not working and doing the things that are working.
Yeah.
But you just skip from, you could spend a whole lifetime chasing shiny things, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I think stops so many people from having all the success that they deserve, because they are just chasing different things, being distracted. Tom, I could talk to you all day about this, but unfortunately we are coming to the end. How can our listeners and viewers find out more about you and your work?
Well, if they're interested in the book, Your Extraordinary Life, they can get it from Amazon. If they're broke, they can email me and I'll send them a free PDF copy. I'm not there to flog some books. If they're interested in lead gen, they can go to bookachatwithtom.com and book a time to have a chat with me. So there's lots of tom@leadsology.guru is my direct email address. I do attempt to answer every single email that comes in. So that's probably the best way, is just give them the email address and we can ask a question and we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I know you do regular training, don't you? You live demo your system so people can actually see how it works.
Yeah, leadgendemo.com is the URL to register for that. That's the lead generation system that I developed,
Fantastic.
Oh, and Nina, I'd be remiss of me not to mention my latest book, Inbound Marketing book, Bright Luminous Nuclear Yellow, comes with a free pair of sunglasses.
And I know you chose that name because you did some SEO on the name.
Yeah, we did the keyword research.
The keyword research,
The phrase inbound marketing book.
Yes.
That's why the word book is on the cover of the book. If that's not already obvious it's a book, it will be now.
That's very smart. Thank you, Tom. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you today. And mindset is everything, and you've obviously got a really great way of working this stuff, and I know it's going to really resonate with lots of people who've been listening and watching our interview. It absolutely will. And thank you everyone who's been listening and watching. I know I'm assuming you got a ton of value out of this. Till next time, bye bye for now.